Guys, welcome to another episode of
We don't have a name for it yet.
We Don't Have a Neighbor. Okay, so there's no name for this, but welcome back again. So my name is Roger and
I'm CL.
CL. So today we're going to be talking about Vanity Matrix.
Favorite.
Yeah.
Favorite.
Yeah. So what's your opinion on Vanity Matrix? What do you want to start off with? Well, how would you define Vanity Matrix?
Yeah, I guess for the benefit of the audience, let's define what vanity metrics is.
Yep.
And typically where do you find it, how it's being used, right? So I guess our definition of vanity metrics is that one that measures obviously a measurement, but it's used purely as an ego boost. It looks good, you want it to look good, the public can see that it looks good, but it really doesn't really do anything else much other than that. So some examples of vanity metrics are like page likes. How many people like my post? How many people like my page? Number of followers. I think maybe half a decade ago, people were really pushing for followers.
Yep.
How many people are following me?
Yep.
The number of people coming to your website. So I guess in general, this would be things that more is better. You want to see a lot more of, without necessarily the context of quality. That's my definition of vanity metrics.
Yeah. Okay. I agree with that. Like, I think my first exposure to the word vanity matrix was, I think, in the startup scene.
Mm-hmm.
So clearly, like when you're looking at building up a business, there's a lot of numbers that you can look at, and I think one of the ones that a lot of startups use would be how much money came in terms of how much they were funded.
Right.
It looks good, right? Like you get like what, 500 mil.
Yep.
In your first round of funding. It looks amazing, right? But what does it actually mean? It's not that you have a legitimate business. It just means that you got 500 million.
Yeah.
So, or another version of that would be that you have 500,000 signups.
Mm-hmm.
But do you have 500,000 active users, right? Right. So so we'll go into that a little bit more today. I think I just wanted to kind of define it, what you thought was vanity metric, and I mean we're pretty much on the same page. Now, have you seen vanity metrics a lot in the industry right now?
For sure. So coming from both, I guess, the client side and also the agency side, the vanity metrics is almost something that people ask for exclusively, right? So you get a lot of requests saying, even in the startup scene, right? You get a lot of requests saying, from say the startup founder to their CIO and saying, hey, as by chief investment officer, or like whoever the person who is responsible for the funding, go out there and get me to 200 million. That's how I measure how good you are at your job.
Yep.
In the marketing world, I think we see the same requests as well. And you launch a new product, and the first thing that the CMO or the marketing manager is told to do is like, hey, give me 1,000 followers.
Yep.
Right. That the ability for you to do that defines how good you are as a marketer. So it's definitely something that we see a lot, and it's something that is requested a lot because of that tonality.
Yeah, I find that a tough ask, right? Like, one, as a marketer, we can definitely do it. Right? I think it's a very straightforward and easy task. But as profit-driven or data-driven business people, I think it's a dumb ask as well. Sometimes I kind of feel like you're asking the wrong things at the wrong time, only to kind of make yourself feel better.
Correct. And I think it's a very short-term view of the business.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think in the startup scene, for example, let's say you want to get, hey, I've committed to my investors that I need to get 1,000 signups. Without 1,000 signups, we're going to get our fundings cut, we're going to get the next round of funding, and so on and so forth, right? So then people keep chasing for signups, or almost to a point where I'm going to incentivize you to sign up just to meet my numbers, even if you're not my users. Like, I guess the better way to think about it is, and I guess an analogy would be you going out to an 18-year-old trying to sell them a Vauxhall, right? And say, hey, sign up for the Vauxhall today. These are all the good news you're going to get, 60 years down the road. inherently, there's a wrong target audience.
Yeah.
That they are going to be an unlikely user. But because you're pressured to meet a number, you will do whatever it takes. And I would rather take the 18-year-old than to spend, say, twice as much time to convince a 65-year-old to sign up. Just because that's cheaper to acquire.
Okay. I wanted to play this game where we drew off how many vanity matrix we can think of, like straight away, and then like the loser takes the shot, but we don't really have shots. So let's play this game anyway. You go first. Just think of something and I'll counter it.
Sure. Let's start with page like.
Page likes. Okay. Let's go with views. Views. Yeah.
Followers. Number of followers.
Subscribers. Oh yeah.
Website page views.
Okay.
Think of video views, right? We say views.
Yeah. Okay. Revenue.
Ooh. Okay.
Okay. We can go this. We can go into this a little bit. Right. Yeah. Go. You're like
Funding. You mentioned funding.
Yeah. Funding. Oh. Okay. What else? Oh, you mentioned signups. Signups. Yeah. Signups.
I'm blocked. Do you have anything else?
I'll say it's similar to sign up. I'll say customers. Customers. We haven't really defined what that really is, right? Okay. So those are some really, really good ones.
Who you shot now?
Yeah. Yeah. Shot and Hennessy. I mean, next time we need to prepare a bunch of shots so that we can play these games properly. All right. So we have a bunch of vanity matrix now. In most cases, right? I think it's not always a bad thing, but let's talk about the limitations. It's now the ones that we kind of mentioned. What kind of limitations do you think we would have as a business if we purely focus on these things and we don't try to understand the deeper side? Or
So starting from my perspective, there's nothing wrong with vanity metrics. In fact, the metrics are there to make it easy for you to measure growth and progress, right? So there's nothing wrong with vanity metrics. I think underlying that is the fundamental assumption that people are also focusing on quality. Let's take for page followers, for example, right? If you launch a social media platform, you launch a new channel, you want to get followers for sure.
Yeah.
But when people say that, I think there's an underlying tone that I want to get real people to be interested in my conversation. Say you launch a podcast, specifically, let's get 100 people to listen to it, and let's get 1,000 people to listen to it. What we're trying to say is we want to find 1,000 people who will be interested in this topic, because then there is, longevity to that subscription.
Yeah.
Right? There's perpetuity to that, right? So I think the first, back to your question, the first use case would be to measure progress. I think vanity metrics is actually very good for you to measure progress and take up. In the absence of which, you don't really have a way to figure out whether it's working, right? So if you launch a video and you can't see if people are watching it, then you don't really know which videos are doing better.
True.
Or you have 100 posts in a month, you don't really know which post gets more visibility, which post gets more like. You don't really know which post is doing well. So then I think measurement of progress will be one. What do you think?
Okay. I agree to that. So I think another benefit to vanity matrix is on the same tone is social proof, right? We've mentioned this last time where if you look at a restaurant, if there's no one inside, you typically won't go into it. But even if you paid a bunch of fake people to go inside your restaurant and just sit there, it still works, all right? Like people will think that okay, the restaurant is buzzing, right? So I'll definitely want to try it out. So the limitation comes from not going deeper, right? Like not understanding how this reflects your business in the long term. One thing you mentioned is if we focus on sign up, it's I want 100,000 signups, and especially for this podcast, if we try to pay as much money to get people to listen to it, what are we trying to do? We just want 1 million people to listen to it,
and then what?
And then right? There's no, there's no proper performance goal or something that reflects the business itself, other than the fact that it kind of looks good, right? And that's probably my grief with it is it's just makes you look good and it's an ego boost, but
Building up on that as well, right?
yeah,
Like how you're getting social proof as one of the use of vanity metrics.
yeah,
Not necessarily the most ethical, but in the spirit of transparency, it's also something that's really good to convince someone else that the product is working. So, for example, if you are a startup founder and you're working to convince investors to continue funding in your idea, and we all know that they care very much about vanity metrics, like how much PR attention are you getting, how much PR value are you getting, how many subscribers are you getting, right? So, it is, I guess, a strategy or a tactic to get your business sustained,
Yep.
right? Whether it's good or bad, that's arguable. But at the very least, knowing that you can hack or growth hack that number, if it's a tool or bullet for you as a marketer to use,
yes,
right?
yeah,
I think, which is what we're about to get into, right? The tool problem that comes with it is usually because it's such a short-term metric,
yeah,
the damage that it's doing to you in the long run, usually the CMO doesn't care. But as a startup founder or as an owner of a business, you should, because you're in it for the long game.
yes,
Right? So if you hire people who come and promise you, hey, I can growth hack your number, I get you 15,000 subscribers, this is how much I will charge.
Yeah.
Great. They're going to make a quick buck off you.
correct,
But
correct.
immediately they're going to disappear. Because the moment you start asking them, hey, how come I have 200,000 followers but nobody like my posts are?
Yeah.
Then they start going away from the competition.
Correct.
Similar to your social proof as well. I think the follow through is important. So let's say you launch a restaurant and you want to improve traffic and footfall to your restaurant, and you realize that people are doing a lot of work on Yelp and people are doing a lot of work on Google Review before they even show up at the place.
Yep.
So you invest into getting reviews, you pay people to come, and with a promise that they will review your food.
Yep.
If the thought process is so short,
Yep.
you're going to get them to come,
Yes.
but they are definitely not going to return.
Yes.
In fact, they're going to add more to the negative reviews to your site.
Correct.
And then you're going to have to pay more to go and counteract it. So it's a
Yeah.
toxic cycle. Right?
Absolutely. And I think I've seen this particular example in real life as well, where so a restaurant owner, right, the restaurant itself isn't famous. However, what they did well was that they did go out and get influencers to come through. They did get some decent reviews in terms of their food, but I think a big portion of the reason why that particular business wasn't successful was that generally their food wasn't that great, right? And as well as their service. So inside part of the review, some people did mention the service wasn't that great. The only reason they went was because another influencer to go check it out. So you can do really well in the short term where you get this massive spike of people coming through to your restaurant, but ultimately there are better metrics out there that you should be focusing on as well, right? I think in short term, yes, fantastic. You get a bunch of people coming through. But long term wise, how do you get these people to come back again?
Sustain it.
Right. Yeah. So definitely seen examples of where it didn't work as well, and focusing on the wrong matrix really did kind of F them up a little bit. Now within the agency space, right, you have experience and I have experience in terms of what our clients typically want. What do you think is a big downfall for a lot of our clients at the moment when it comes to vanity matrix?
So one of the biggest, and I know we're going to dive into this, right? One of the biggest downfall, I think, is that you are trading off performance for vanity, right?
Yes.
So the vanity metrics, it's something that's easy for you to bring and boost about, right? I've got 1 million people viewing my festive video. Great.
Yes.
So what?
Yeah.
Right. So I think that's the biggest downfall, right? The so what is difficult. And for someone who doesn't think long term, I think then it's very difficult to justify the so what from the million view. Versus, say, someone who is really strategic about their go-to market, all they needed was, say, half of that, say 500,000 view, and yet they bring in X amount of conversion, or they bring in X amount of new users, or they, they impress upon a new generation of users. I think that is a lot more important rather than the views itself.
Yes. Yeah. I think you're starting to hit on a big and I think very important point where I think both of us actually like we're trying to get customers or our clients to really just take one extra step, right? To really dig in. Why do we want this number, right? And I think another point is also sometimes I feel like our clients, the people that we work with anyway, like the individual person that we work with, they're sort of like the gatekeepers, right? So they may have like a CMO or a manager or sales manager that's saying that, look, these are the numbers that we want, and they kind of go, oh, that's what my manager wants. What my manager wants, I just give them this, and I'm just getting paid this salary, so don't stress me out here.
And then it translates to the agency too, right?
Yeah.
I know I don't agree with you. I mean, I know I don't agree with the metrics.
Yeah.
My hands are tied.
Yeah.
You're either going to help me get the metrics,
Yeah.
or I'm going to get another agency who will help me get the metrics. Right. So then the agency takes the job back and say,
Yeah.
we know it doesn't mean anything.
Yes.
Do you want to get paid?
Yes. Yeah. I agree to that. I think it's a tough ask because like they will come to us, look, this is what we want. This is the campaign that we want to run, and off the bat, like we kind of go, oh, it's not really that good, but I kind of don't want to lose you as a client as well. So let's go with it, and then I'll start to massage and hopefully guide you to something a little bit better, right? And I think that's a very good scenario that we can actually massage them and kind of work with them to better their performance and whatnot at the end of the day. But I think the worst case scenario has always been, for me anyway, I don't know about you, is a client comes through, they go, look, we want X number of likes, we want this. We've agreed on a specific, KPI that we'll achieve within, 3 to 6 months. We hit that milestone, right? But then they go, I'm not getting sales.
Yeah, exactly.
And then we go, yeah, this was, this is our whole thing. Like, we knew that going into this, you weren't going to get any sales. And don't get me wrong, like I think as a brand new business, it's a struggle, right? It's you have limited capital, and obviously monthly cash flow is going to be super tight if you can't bring in enough money, right? But to understand that, like maybe in the first few months, it's going to be a struggle. Like you do need to put in a little bit more effort on getting the market to be aware of your product or service or your brand. For them, you can actually like start selling something, right? Like you sort of like you're building trust. So you do need some of these vanity metrics that we spoke about just before, and utilize that to kind of kick off a few things before we can make the sales. But I think if we don't understand this portion of how to work with them, this is the downfall of a lot of us agency people, and also a lot of businesses, right?
I think to add on to that, right? I think we're not saying that vanity metrics shouldn't be done. You have to say, especially if you're in the first phase of the business,
Yep.
The vanity metrics are actually very, very important. Again, right? It's a metrics that we use to measure growth and progress, and that's almost it almost is the most important measurement when your business just launched. So we're saying do it, but do it. Be mindful while you're doing it, so that you're not foregoing quality as you're going through it. So you want the first your first 1,000 subscribers for sure. But if you're selling, female yoga pants, you really want your first 1,000 subscribers to be predominantly female who would go to yoga, right? So then just be careful about the quality while you're pushing through it, or at least be very, very clear. Are you willing to sacrifice one unlikely male purchaser or 10 unlikely male purchaser as a subscriber in exchange for 2 more likely target audience? And then start to kind of make adjustments and say, hey, you know what? I need more people to know about my brand. I know some guys who buy for their girlfriends and wives and whatnot, but chances are it's better for me to go for all women target audience instead. So let's focus on that a little bit more and be mindful that by doing so, I might not reach the vanity I'm aiming for, but I might get a little bit more quality than that. So let's be careful of that.
Yeah,
Which brings me to, I guess, the next part of my question, right? If we are stuck with vanity metrics and we kind of know the pros and cons of it, and we're saying that that's not enough,
Yeah.
what's my alternative as a business owner,
Yeah.
as as a CMO? What are my alternatives to vanity metrics?
Yeah. So I'll go back to one of my examples, revenue. Right. So I think, look, revenue, and I think most of the other matrix, and we've spoken about this for quite a fair bit, but like, there's the good part and then there's also the bad part. I think if we're focusing on revenue itself as a business, and we lose track of like the actual profit side, we may not even have the cash flow to run things sometimes, right? Like, there's just not enough margin, and if we don't know how to get that margin to make profits, then I feel like there's something wrong there. If you just purely focus on revenue.
I think it's a very good example. I mean, we run a group of businesses,
Yeah.
right? So I'm very familiar with this. And I think there's no better way to say than to give you this craft example, right? Today, as a single individual, you can build $1 billion business
Yes.
like that,
Yes.
right? All you need to do, register 2 companies. One company build the other company $1 billion. The other company build the other company $1 billion. Both have you $1 billion revenue
Yes.
and also $1 billion expense.
Yes.
As an individual,
Yes.
now you own 2 $1 billion companies.
Yes. And
this is why the vanity metrics is so important, right? You hit the 2B milestone. So what? What have you achieved? In a day, you can get there, right? But then you don't get anything out of it.
Yeah.
Right?
That's true. That's true. To wrap it up, how do you think businesses can use vanity matrix and have a balance between both worlds?
Right. So to conclude, I think we're not saying don't look at vanity metrics. I think what we're saying is look at vanity metrics for what it's supposed to do, and not forget about the other 2 components, which is your performance matrix as well as your quality matrix. The second part is, before going into this, to have a very, very clear objective, what is the outcome you want for your business, and I understand that vanity matrix is one part of it, but what do you want, like what do you truly want at the end of the day?
Yeah.
So those would be my 2 takeaways.
Okay. Yeah. And I think for myself, it's looking at it from a long-term perspective and sort of like, how can I just get things rolling? Because, if it costs you it costs you like $5 to acquire a customer, or like or whatever, how much are you going to charge them, to make that money back, right? So I think that's quite important. Think long term. And then I think the second thing is just be data driven instead of like emotional. Like, there's no point in having a million likes if that million like doesn't actually do anything other than make you feel good on the inside, right?
Absolutely.
Be data driven. Like, feel like, okay, something tangible is going to come out of this, right? Whether it be sales, whether it be repeat customers or whatever, right? Just make sure that whatever you're doing in the vanity matrix side translates to something tangible, something that's going to give you return business in the long run.
Absolutely.
So yeah.
Thanks, Roger. I think that's really a good way to sum up the whole episode. And before I forget, if there are anything else that you want to see from us or hear from us or like to get in the discussion with us, feel free to drop in a comment, and hopefully we get some interesting recommendations.
Okay. Thanks, guys. Thanks for listening in. Now, if you do like this episode and it was useful to you, make sure you like, subscribe, and I guess comment and share and share as well. Now, if you do have any questions, comment below, and hopefully you will be able to answer them. If not, you can always email us directly or contact us directly or indirectly somehow. We'll see you in the next episode.
Thank you.